The first time Michael felt his life collapse, it wasn't loud. It was quiet, subtle, like a soft wind that turns into a hurricane before you notice. He woke up one morning to an eviction notice slipped under his door. His job had disappeared the week before. His savings were gone, drained by medical bills. Staring at the ceiling of his tiny apartment, he realized that the crushing weight of despair didn't even begin to describe what he felt. For a man who had always believed he controlled his life, the rug had been pulled out from under him. He didn't know which way was up. He walked through the city streets, the usual sounds of life now foreign to him. The laughter of kids, the chatter of co-workers, the aroma of fresh bread from the bakery. It all seemed distant, almost mocking. Everywhere he looked, he saw other people moving forward, achieving, thriving. And here he was, stuck, invisible, broken. For days he drifted. The world moved on, but he felt frozen in a moment of failure. But then one evening in the dim light of a park, he sat on a bench and watched a father teaching his son to ride a bike. The boy fell countless times, scraped his knees, but kept getting back on. Each failure was met with a soft, steady hand and a quiet encouragement. Try again. Something inside Michael stirred. He realized that the problem wasn't the failure itself. It was his inability to accept it, to move through it. He had equated losing everything with losing himself. But the truth, as he watched that little boy wobble and fall and rise again, was that loss was not the end. Loss was a doorway. The next morning, Michael didn't have a grand plan. He didn't suddenly have clarity about a new career or a miraculous solution. What he had was a small, unshakable thought. I can start over, I will start over. He began with the simplest actions. He cleaned his apartment, though small it was his, and made a list of what he could control, one step at a time. The job search became not a desperate sprint, but a series of small, deliberate steps. He reached out to old contacts, asked for advice, and quietly rebuilt bridges he had neglected. Weeks passed. Some days were harder than others. He felt the weight of exhaustion, the sting of rejection. And yet, slowly, the despair that had once swallowed him whole began to loosen. With every small victory, a returned email, a positive conversation, a new lead, he felt the invisible threads of life stitching themselves back together. Months later, Michael stood in a new apartment, modest but his own. He had a new job, not the dream he once imagined, but one that gave him stability and purpose. More than that, he had perspective. He realized that the collapse of his life had revealed something he could never have learned otherwise. That strength isn't always loud, it's not always heroic. Strength is quiet, patient, persistent. It is the courage to keep showing up, to keep standing, even when everything seems lost. And in that quiet strength, Michael found something more valuable than anything he had lost. He found himself,